Things that Leighton talked about was to teach values and consequences. So this leads us really nicely to Madam Rashida's sharing about how in her school they teach values, teach students values while they're on the internet. So let's welcome Madam Rashida.
Hi, good morning. I'm coming from the school's perspective, and basically at the end of my sharing, I'd like to really tell you parents that you have to work very closely with us, schools, because the schools can do so much, and if we don't get the support from the parents, it's going to be very difficult. So we really hope, schools hope that parents and schools can work very closely together in imbuing our pupils, our children with values so that they really can be independent learners, but they are at the same time responsible users of the internet. So I'm from Westview Primary School, and in our school we use the EPE approach to developing responsible digital netizens. I think most of you could be aware of this, what we call Swiss roll. This is the framework that Ministry of Education use for 21st century competencies and the kind of students we want to produce, right? The desired student outcomes. So at the center, you can see its core values, and then what are the social emotional competencies that we want to equip our pupils with, and finally the 4 desired outcomes, which are self-directed learners, active contributors, concerned citizens, and confident persons. So when we talk about core values, what are the values that we want to imbue our pupils with? These are the 6: respect, responsibility, integrity, care, resilience, and harmony. And in this digital age, what do we mean when we say we want to imbue pupils with these values? For respect, we expect our children to demonstrate respect when he believes in his own self-worth and the intrinsic worth of all the people out there. So respecting people whenever they are online. So we're talking about etiquettes online, or what we call netiquettes. What about, responsibility? Your child is responsible if he recognizes that he has a duty to himself, his family, community, nation, and the world. And how does he fulfill his responsibilities? With love and commitment. So being a responsible user of the internet, we expect our children to be able to think before he posts. We have this slogan called Think, Sense, and Act. And just now, Kim talks about critical thinking too, right? So we want the children to think first, and then he senses it and see, how do I respond to this kind of question or any statement that I see online? Then how do I act? Integrity. Your child is a person of integrity if he upholds ethical principles, and he must have the moral courage to stand up for what is right. Okay, so if cyberbullying is not right, we want our children to be able to stand up against it. Care. Your child is caring if he acts with kindness and compassion and contributes to the betterment of the community and the world. So we tell our children, do not post hurtful comments when you are on the internet. Resilience. Your child is resilient if he has the emotional strength and perseveres in the face of challenges. So what does he do? He manifests courage, optimism, adaptability, and resourcefulness. Lastly, harmony. We want our children to value harmony, and he seeks inner happiness and promotes social cohesion. And he appreciates the unity and diversity in a multicultural society like ours. So these are the core values that we help to imbue in our pupils in schools. And besides that, we have the social and emotional competencies. Those are the self-awareness, self-management, and so on. So when we talk of self-awareness, we're talking about children being able to understand his or her own emotions, strengths, his inclinations, and his own weaknesses. That's very important because children need to know what is it that I need help in, all right, so that he does not just vent anger using the social networks. Okay, if he sees something he's not happy with, does he have that resilience? Is he aware that his weakness is he cannot control his emotions? Then what does he do? All right, if he doesn't, that's where he gets in trouble on the net. Next is self-management. Can he manage himself effectively? If he has the capacity to manage his own emotions, probably he can, right? So what does he do? He has to ensure that when he goes onto these websites, when he's chatting online, he is not venting his anger, or he knows that he can turn to someone if he needs help. So he knows how to manage himself. I'm not sure how to go about this, but I know I can seek help from someone else. Okay, and he must also know that he needs to go to a trusted adult. Social awareness. Your child has social awareness if he has the ability to accurately discern different perspectives, recognize and appreciates diversity, and he is also able to empathize with and respect others. A lot of the times our children can be self-opinionated, right? And they may think, even in primary school, that their opinions are always right. But how are they able to also respect opinions of others? Relationship management. Your child can manage relationships effectively if he has the ability to establish and maintain healthy and rewarding relationships. And how does he do that? Through effective communication. All right, so he's able to work with others, he's able to relate with others, he's able to accept differences. And lastly, responsible decision making. Your child, even though they may be young, can make responsible decisions. But what does he need? He must have the capacity to identify and analyze the situation competently. That's where the critical thinking comes in. All right, he's able to synthesize through the information, analyze, and then make a decision that is responsible. So what I have shared with you is basically the framework that we have used, all right, in all schools. So in my school, we use this EPE approach. What is the first E? Exposure. You cannot run away from the fact that the digital life of age is here to stay. So you cannot say we don't want to expose them to all these devices, all right? So definitely in schools, we make use of ICT pervasively in teaching and learning. Okay, we even have a cyberspace, we have computers all set up for them. Anytime they're free, they go there. They can do whatever they want on the net. So exposure, they know that they will be exposed to this. Then we provide them that experience. So it is guided in the school, because whilst they have the exposure, we also give them a lot of experiences where they make use of all these digital devices, meaning that they get to go on the net, they get to go to collaborative learning platforms, because we also want them to become collaborative learners. So they go on the social learning wall, they use Edmodo. Actually, when I ask my pupils, basically I'm from primary school, how many of them have the Facebook? They're very honest, they put their hands up. But actually they're not supposed to have. So I appreciate their integrity and honesty. So I know that they are on Facebook when they're not supposed to be on Facebook. All right, so we know that they are also very active, okay? So what we do is, we of course tell them that it's not right for them to have Facebook, but they have the account, so we have to guide them as they go along. So we get them to have these experiences within the school. Because to us, children learn by doing. When they have done something wrong, we let them experience that that is something wrong. So what is it wrong about it? Then how do you ensure that you do not repeat your mistake? So after the experience, we want them to perform. When we say perform, we are talking about application of what they have learned. Right? And with these 3 different strategies that we use in our school, we hope that we will be able to also equip our pupils with the necessary skills so that they also become the kind of students and citizens we want. So I'm going to just show you some pictures of what we've done in our school. Like for instance, every year we celebrate the Safer Internet Week. So this year we just had one in April. So when we celebrate the Safer Internet Week, we have a whole slew of activities within the week to show our children on what they need to do when they are on the internet. We make sure that children know that if they have a password, they keep the password safe. So in terms of the experience, we have games like this IZ Zone, where pupils will pledge that they are going to be declare a certain area free from cyberbullying, so they don't do bad things, on the internet, use bad language and all that to vent their anger on their friends. Okay, these are just some examples of the pictures of pupils who took part in the Safer Internet Week Carnival. And in my school, what we do is we appoint pupils who want to champion, safer internet in school. So we appoint them and we call them cyber warriors. So what they do as cyber warriors, they promote safer internet use, and they also advocate responsible use of the internet. We tell our children, we come up with posters like this, we put them all around the school to say, think before you post anything online. We come up with also comics, because we know kids love comics, and we want to remind them that every time they use the internet, they must be responsible. And we have things like this, even games and so on, and to remind them, whenever you do something, you always think first. And we, like I said, you cannot stop them from going online. You cannot stop them from saying, don't do all these things because they're bad for you, because there's no way we can take this away from them. In fact, if we cannot use ICT in teaching and learning, we're not engaging them, because they're not going to be happy with the teacher talking all the time. They want to use these IT devices. Okay, so these are also examples of some of the activities we've done. We've even created a cyber wellness trail so that the kids will be very engaged. When it comes to imbuing kids with values in school, you cannot be didactic anymore and tell them, do this, do this, do this, don't do this. But you use experiences like games, trails, hands-on activities in order to subtly put in those values. But we also believe in school that values can be caught. At the same time, values can be taught. So besides teachable moments and subtle, teaching of values, we also believe in the explicit teaching of values. So that is also being done in schools. Yeah, not only doing it as part of the experience, teaching of values, but explicit teaching of values as well. So it's just some pictures for you. Okay, that's all I have. So what I'd like to really say at the end of my sharing is, please work closely with our schools. We are doing quite a lot of things, because in this values-driven education, we believe that teaching of values is core. And like what Lee Kim says, if we can really ground our pupils in values, you can actually trust them wherever they are. Whether it is face-to-face interaction, they will know how to, say appropriate things, or even whether they are on cyberspace. They will remember that because of that grounding of values, they will know how to behave responsibly on the net. Thank you.
Thanks, Madam Rashida. So for those of you parents who would like to your children to be responsible cyber citizens, you may want to enroll him or her in Westview Primary School. That's publicity for you. But in any case, we have kind of used like half of time that's devoted to the seminar, and the rest of the time is really yours. In yesteryears, we used to have people scribble their questions on papers and come up and we answer the questions. Well, these days we have an iPad. So actually I have one question already, but maybe we'd like to open it up to you first. If you have a burning question you want to ask, otherwise I'll just ask this on the spin. Yeah, please do. And please let us know your name. You don't have to tell us your age, but maybe you'd like to direct question to one of our visitors.
Yes, I would like to ask the question to Nicholas. I think I am in this transitional period whereby you mentioned about that we need to start the kids in conversation younger regarding the cyber thing. But I think that we are in this transition period whereby where both parents are working, we do not have much time. And before we realize our kids is already in the internet. So I have my second son who is already Sec 3, and I found that he is always on the iPhone, on his iPad, on his computer all the time once he comes back from the school. He is not doing too bad in his results, and I was told that, wow, if your son has been in school from 7 to 1 and sometimes come back to 3 something, you should let him have some relaxed time. So gaming is one of his relaxed time. And you mentioned about chunking. I tried to do that, but the reply that I get is that, Ma, when I do a session of computer game, I need at least 1 hour. So how can I do to engage him back to not to, I don't require him to be on the book, on his work all the time, but just to break him off from this computering thing. Thank you.
You're a very understanding mother. Yeah, and with a lot of parents as well, they're very understanding and they like listening to their kids. So those of you who were here earlier, you can appreciate what I'm about to share. 2 things here. One is by the time they reach secondary school, a lot of behaviors have been conditioned, right? The way they think, the way they see things, their attitude, to some extent is conditioned. But it's not all bad because they can still learn, right? And it's a question of how you teach them, right? So at that stage, specifically to this question, at this stage, essentially you want to engage them more limbically and sit them down and have a dialogue. So if 1 hour is basically what you need, then mom will share with you my concerns, all right? And you tell them very honestly what you think about the 1 hour, and you ask them, I'd like to see you do this, and I'd like to see this being achieved. Tell me what you think is the best thing for you to do, right? And then you get them to tell you. Now remember, this is the stage where they are at, right? This is youth issues, in your case, youth issues where they want to be able to individuate, they want to be able to have their say, they want to be listened to. So a lot of times parents don't understand that. So when you engage in this kind of conversation, you're bringing them from the limbic to the prefrontal, right? You get them to own it. So not only are you engaging them at the level in which they are at developmentally, right? But also what they need as used at that stage of their life. So gone are the days where you tell them 1 hour means 1 hour, or half an hour means an hour, they'll listen to you. Those, by 15, you can forget about it. Yeah, okay? By the time you basically want to sit them down and you tell them your concerns. That's where you, in that conversation, you're actually toggling between the limbic and the prefrontal most of the time. And they will feel, for teenagers, they will feel that, yes, my mom understands me. At the same time, she's also sharing her concerns. And if you have inculcated good values, they will want to, okay, what can I do to help mom ease her concerns? And typically, they'll go into that kind of discussion with you. Yeah.
I just want to share my experience with my own boys. So what I do is I tell them, okay, you get 2 hours a week to play. How you use those 2 hours, I don't really care, but you only have 2 hours a week. You can spend all 2 hours at the weekend, or you can break them up, 15 minutes a day. So what do you do? My son will come back and try to negotiate, and say, 2 hours for games, 1 hour for social media, for Facebook, that sort of things. So we actually come together and we agree what works for him, what works for me. I'll tell him my expectation that I need certain things to be done, right? Your homework has to be done first before you go online and all that. But as Nicholas said, it's for him to actually tell me what works for him and whether I agree, and then he keeps to it. And if he breaches that, then there are consequences, and that's very important, and you need to enforce. So if he breaches that, then I'll say, then your time is taken up. Whatever consequence you decide on, right? If it eats into your next week's hour, or you get banned for a few days, or whatever it is, it's up to you to discuss with your kid. And that's when I find useful for my teenager, because it gives him a set of it makes him, he gets buy-in. He feels that he has a say. He helps to draft that agreement, and so he sticks to it. He agrees to it, rather than feel that he's being forced into it.
Thanks. If I may add my 2 cents worth. Yeah, I think the key really is about relationships. We talk about the limbic system, and it's really about the emotional connections a child has with the parent. And based on that strength of the relationship, you would want to switch the communication pattern to a more joint decision-making and collaborative one. I mean, you wouldn't be able to tell your adolescent anymore, do this, they are not 6 years old or 9 years old. Yeah. So, okay, I noticed that there's a lady up front. Can you please go ahead?
Thank you, Dr. Song, and thank you, the panels. I'm Wei Fan from spec schools, so I'm a parent, so that's why today I'm here. I'm teaching the students from the range 18 to 20 years old vocational program. And recently, really recently, a few days ago, I have a student, he sent an obscene photo to a classmate. And the parents, I invited the parents to see me, to pick up the child.